Hey guys, it's been a while, but today we are back looking at what used to be my grandma's, and that was my Genie Screw Drive model GX9000. And I have taken the case off of it, and in this video I'm going to kind of go over the parts and talk about what typically went wrong with these machines. But actually, before I start, had a funny conversation with Dave. This is one of those door benders, I think he called it. As you know, there's a door with one or both springs snapped. This opener would just keep lifting it like nothing happened. These things were tough, but that would strip the carriage out. But before I do, other parts that like, excuse the mess down here. But a few of the parts I got down here. Oh, what's this? Genie Track Drive logo. Because this thing has a ton of grease on it. I have a set of door arms. I believe also came off of my Genie Track Drive that I used to have. You can tell it's a Genie arm if the curved arm is longer on it. This is what I do like about Genie, is their longer curved arms, because if you have a low headroom door, typically you can get away with just using the curved arm because they are longer than a Chamberlain arm, and also the straight arms are shorter than Chamberlain's. So that's how you can tell a Genie arm right there. I also like how their arms are thicker. Well, at least their older ones are thicker compared to the Chamberlain ones that are pretty thin in some places. So I have right here a bit of drive tape, and I thought that I had an inner slide for the track drive somewhere, but it turns out that I must have tossed that. Right here I got some wire for the Genie old style sensors. Right here, let's see what we got. The little black connector thingies. I'm gonna see, maybe I'll be able to show you how those actually worked. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this though. Alright. Well, I'll just show in a different video because I kind of want to show this with the case off. But also, can't forget old style screw drive carriage. The way you can tell if it's older is if these two pieces on the side are the same length. Again, we have a ton of grease on that. I do find it interesting how on these Genie screw drive carriages, they don't have the whole all the threads on the trolley here engage with the screw. I just find that kind of interesting. And this disengages much easier than it re-engages. Old style release rope. Alright, so going into the opener. Once again, it's a GX9000. I'm gonna switch right here. So, going into this machine, so at first glance what we got are logic board, motor, RPM, sensor, the reluctor, that's what it's called. We have the clutch. I'm actually going to get into some detail on this in the video. Receiver board, and the capacitor. So this opener actually doesn't do anything. This comment's for 1280. This opener doesn't do anything. I haven't plugged it in, but that's what my grandpa said, is it just didn't do anything. It didn't move. It didn't click. It didn't make any noises at all. It just didn't work. So I'm not going to plug it in or anything, but so what we're looking at here with the clutch, so this is where most of your problems were in in these old style screw drives. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into a little bit more detail on some of the common problems of these openers and what typically went wrong. So let's get started. Alright, so we're actually going to start off with the circuit boards. So just move the case off to the side. I also have these. I have a track drive limit switch. I think I have a couple. I don't know where the other one is though. Okay, so starting with the circuit board. So this, as we all know, circuit board failures are very common on any opener. And actually, sometimes people get bad boards and they replace it and it still doesn't work. Sometimes you have a loose connection in the wiring harnesses. So, generally speaking, you could fix these by pushing in on these gold tabs here to pull out the wires, whichever wire has the problem of a loose connection. You're going to bend the tab so that'll get a nice connection, slide it back in, and you should have a good solid connection there. So that's actually a really easy fix. I'm going to make a video later in more detail on that, but that could happen right here at this connection and right here at the circuit board connection. So circuit board itself, relatively easy to replace. You just have to take out, there's 2 wire harnesses right here and right here. You have to pull those out. There's a screw here you loosen, and then you can slide it out of these white tabs. So looking at the wires, all of the wires we got coming into this board, we have some going into the terminals. These 2 are for the limit switches right there. Really wishing I had more light in here. I'll get it light in a minute. There's ground wires. Focus this here. Alright. And goes to the transformer. The RPM sensor, capacitor, and the receiver board, and the power button on the bottom one. So that's what we got right there. I'm just going to go ahead and real quick get the light so I can show you guys a bit better. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the motor. Motor failures are fairly common on Genie machines. If anything, that's actually what I think happened to this one. Not entirely sure, but you know, if it was a motor problem, it would just hum, or it would open and not close no matter how much you tighten the clutch. So that's how you can tell a motor problem. They're pretty easy to figure out. The RPM sensor right here. A lot of times the problem is this right here is not positioned correctly to this reluctor hub. So many times that was the problem, and you kind of had to move it around and readjust it until it would work. The capacitor, obviously, if it blew, it's pretty easy to tell. The receiver board didn't really fail as often as other boards, but replacing it is the same as the circuit board. You just pull out the wire, undo the screw over here, and then you can slide it out, slide in the new one, put the screw in, and plug it in. So, relatively simple. The clutch, though, actually, strip carriage is also pretty common, bag limit switches. but the clutch is what I mostly want to talk about. So this is the most common problems that people have with these, and the reason why this is a door bender. So actually what happens, I'm going to kind of take this apart here so I can explain it. But what would happen is that the reluctor hub and the clutch pad, the clutch plate and the reluctor were not rough, were not at the roughness that they should be. So that means that it won't slip. The clutch won't slip. So the three pieces I just took out, the nut, the washer, and the spring right here. A little washer right here. I gotta get out of there. Come on. There we go. Right at this point, there's a little ring in there that you gotta pry out with a screwdriver. Pop it out. And again, this can be a bit of a pain. There, we got it. So, pull that ring off. It's gonna be a bit tricky to do, but make sure you keep that ring where you'll be able to find it, because if you lose it, it's not gonna be good. Reluctor hub right here. You can see there's quite a bit of shine to it. So actually, I'm gonna go over the clutch plate on this as well. So there's this little piece right there you gotta take out. This bearing bushing thing. So there's an E-ring in there that you gotta pop out. See if I can actually get it this time, because I have not yet been able to. Don't know if I will be able to. Alright, hold on, I'm just gonna pause it to see if I can get it, because it's easier to do with two hands. Alright, well, I couldn't get it out, but anyways, here is what the problem was most times. So you can see how much shine there is to the clutch plate right there. You don't want that shine, because the less friction there is, the less likely it's going to slip. The harder it is to make it slip. If it's rough, then it's going to slip easier. So if you don't want it to have shine, you want it to have scratches on it. So this is actually really easy to do. You're just going to take the reluctor hub and clutch plate out. You're going to put them on a hard surface such as concrete, and you're just going to move it against the concrete. And you want to get some scratches on it. You can see right there I got some nice scratches right there. So that's what you do want, because now that it's rougher, it's going to slip easier. So that right there, folks, is the most common problem that you're going to have on these machines. Putting it back together is easy. You don't want to forget this slot right there. You gotta put that piece in. Now once that's in, slide the clutch plate on. Make sure that you don't put it on this way, because A, it's not going to slip, and B, it's not going to run anyway, because it's not at the RPM sensor. So you want to make sure these little notches here are closer to these two things of metal right there. Don't forget that little ring. It's got to go on there. Again, it's a bit of a pain to get on and off. I have a hard time with it sometimes, but simply slide it right on to that. You slide it as far up against the reluctor hub as you can with your hands, and then slide it in the rest of the way with a screwdriver, as shown. And you're going to put these gloves are annoying. Put that washer on like that. Spring. Other washer. And the clutch nut. Right there. So that's how you repair a clutch. In most cases, it's pretty easy to do. And that's kind of the most common problems. The other thing with the collar clip design on Genie openers, sometimes people would disregard that clip and it would work for a while, and then the whole thing would fall apart. So you want to make sure you put that clip on, or that clip is on. Other than that, that's kind of all the common problems for this. So I hope this helps some of you guys out, and to others, I hope that this video you found it useful. So thank you guys for watching. Check back soon and subscribe to the channel. See you.